Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 31 Days of Halloween. Man, it's almost Halloween, and I'm actually a little bit sad. One more day, and then this is all over with. But today's day 30, and I watched Necronomicon Book of the Dead. Now, I'd never heard of this movie at all. I'd seen the cover, because, like, when I was a kid, I used to go to this video store, kind of a mom and pop rental store called Family Video. Or no, not Family Video. What am I talking about, dude? Bookseller. It's actually in the banner of my channel, Bookseller. And I would always rent horror movies. And this is one of those like VHS covers that I always saw and just never rented because honestly the cover is kind of boring. It's just a picture of the Necronomicon and then like a couple evil eyes above it. But actually I watched this because I saw someone post a clip of it on Instagram, and it was of a guy like peeling his skin off of his like body, and he was like becoming kind of like a skeleton. And I was like, that looks sick. I have to watch that movie. And I'm glad I did. It was directed by Brian Yuzna, who's worked with Stuart Gordon, and he's done a lot of stuff. Christopher Gans, who did the Silent Hill movie, and he did Brotherhood of the Wolf, I think it was. And then, I don't know how to say this other guy's name. Shusuke Kanuko, he did the second half. I probably slaughtered that, but, and I don't really know any of the movies that he's worked on. He's got a pretty big filmography, but I don't notice anything that I know of. Anyway, the movie, it's an anthology, which I love anthologies. And the wraparound story is actually really cool. The concept behind this movie is fantastic, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been done since. Jeffrey Combs from Reanimator plays H.P. Lovecraft, and he's kind of going into this library to do research, and there's kind of these, I don't know if you want to call them like monks. They're not monks, but they're kind of like maybe like Middle Eastern monks. I don't know what you'd call them, but they're kind of watching over all these books, and they won't let him in to see the Necronomicon. So he ends up stealing the keys, and he sneaks back there, and he takes the Necronomicon off the pedestal, and he starts reading it, and the stories are what he's writing down on his notepad after reading the Necronomicon. So I really like that premise. Jeffrey Combs is almost unrecognizable as H.P. Lovecraft. They put so much kind of prosthetics on him that he looks really crazy. They did a much, much better job of H.P. Lovecraft than Incident in a Ghostland did. The Incident in a Ghostland at H.P. Lovecraft was terrible looking. Lovecraft looked like a monstrosity in that movie. But anyway, the first part is about a guy who was played by Richard Lynch, who is in kind of a boating accident, and it kills his mother, or his wife, and his son. And so he does this kind of Lovecraftian ritual to bring them back to life, but they come back not right. I mean, as it always works out. And then when he dies, he kills himself because he can't deal with, what has happened with his loved ones. And when he dies, he leaves his house to one of his, distant relatives or something. And so the movie is him coming back to the house and discovering what happened. The special effects in this whole show are amazing. I mean, there are kind of corny looking things, but it's all practical for the most part. And it looks so good. In the beginning of this segment, he is so upset that his wife and his son are dead that he takes the Bible, throws it in the fire, and is like, anyone who takes my love and my son away from me, any God who takes my son and love from me is not welcome in my house. And he forces everyone to leave the home. And after that, the doors swing open, and this like amphibian thing, kind of like something you'd see in Dagon, comes out and has the Necronomicon, and he says something along the lines of like, "You are not alone," and he puts the book where the Bible used to be, and then walks out. And this creature looks so cool. It's like just amazing. I wish I kind of knew who did the special effects, but like whoever it was, they did a fantastic job working on this. I'm actually looking at it right now. David Barton, who, I have no idea. Oh, Tom Savini was a makeup effect consultant. Makes a lot of sense. So yeah, special effects are amazing. The first segment is probably the best segment. I think they progressively get kind of not as good, but they're still all fairly solid. The second segment is about a reporter comes to this house and he's like, "I know what's been going on. Tell me the story before I tell the cops." And so he comes in and he's talking to this woman, and this woman tells him the story about how her mother came to this town with nothing, and she decided to live in this building. And in this building, there's this doctor who's kind of strange, a little different, and she goes across the street and she starts working at this diner, and the guy in the diner says, "Man, that doctor's still alive. He must be over 100. So, she kind of finds out how he's gotten to live this long, basically. Hint, the Necronomicon. And that the doctor is played by David Warner, who was in Waxworks, and he's in a bunch of stuff. Once you see him, you'll recognize him right away. And this is the segment where there's that guy who's peeling his skin off, and it's so crazy looking. It's almost like in Return of the Living Dead, that skeleton, it reaches up and like turns its head and stuff. Like that skeleton kind of looks like that after it's torn off all the flesh and stuff. It is in like an acid trip scene, like absolutely insane. Segment 3 is my least favorite segment, although it does have a couple really crazy special effects moments. Basically, 2 cops are hunting down a suspect, and I think he's called the Butcher, and she is such in a hurry that she gets into a car crash, and a doctor takes her in, or a man takes her in, and they kind of, it's like, "Oh, I know where the Butcher is. He stays here," and he kind of takes her down to where the underground area is, and it kind of unfolds from there. You probably will see where it's going. The underground layer where she ends up going is really crazy. It's like a living kind of area where like she shoots the wall and it starts to bleed, and there's like these weird like flying like creatures and stuff. Like it's all probably between this and the first one, it's the most special effects that they do in the movie. And the problem with this one is that they do use, like, the special effects here don't look as good, especially the flying creatures. They don't look good at all, because they're kind of they're a little bit stop motion, so it's a little bit like Army of Darkness, only a little bit worse than that. But I mean, the practical stuff is still really good. The walls bleeding, and when the creatures are not flying, they look cool. And that's that third one. And then the third one, it stars Don Calfa, which I'm going to bring this movie up again, is in Return of the Living Dead. He's one of the I think he's the mortician. I believe so. So, yeah, this whole thing is really good. Like, the acting is good. The stories are pretty good. And I love the wraparound. The wraparound is so cool with H.P. Lovecraft, and like I said, the idea to do it that way was so cool. The only problem with this movie is that I don't think it has a proper release. The only way I think I've seen it on Amazon is through, like, to buy the old VHS. I have to do a little bit more digging. Maybe it's on, like, I know they do, like, kind of print on demand type thing that Warner Brothers Archives do, and that I don't know, maybe the rights are tied up somewhere. I don't know. I have to look into it a little bit more. You can find it if you look it up, and and I highly recommend this one. I mean, for me, this is like, see, I'm switching back and forth between 3.5 and 4 stars because, like I said, the last 2 stories aren't nearly as good as the first one. The first one is so good. Like special effects, everything. The first one is very, very good. And then the second 2, like I said, it's very good, and then, okay. So I'll go with special effects. Man, I'll have to go with 3.5. I have to do it. I was going to say 4, but the stories, they could be better. I'll just say that. They could be better. Yeah, so, I highly recommend this one if you can find it. It's a Necronomicon, Book of the Dead. I think as soon as you search it, the movie will pop up. It's from 1993. So, like I said, the special effects are a little bit dated, but I always appreciate the practical effects more than I ever will appreciate the more kind of updated CG stuff. Even if it looks a little bit worse than the updated CG stuff, I still will always go practical effects over CG any time of the week, especially if they do like blood splatter in CG. That always looks terrible and really cheesy. They did that in 3 from Hell, Rob Zombie, the digital CG blood, and I always am like, that looks awful. Anyway, that was Necronomicon, Book of the Dead for day 30. It's almost Halloween. It's Devil's Night technically tonight. So yeah, it's crazy. I know what I'm watching tomorrow, and I think I'm gonna watch some other movies too. So I probably won't review it though, because I think I'm gonna watch John Carpenter's Halloween. I haven't watched it yet this season, just because I've been doing this and watching the movie every day, and I've been able to watch a different movie that I haven't seen every single day so far. So I'm really happy I've been able to do that. But yeah, tomorrow I got a special movie planned. If you follow my writing for the past, 15 years, and if you followed my 31 Days of Halloween on Facebook, you know what I'm going to watch. I've been watching it every Halloween for as long as I remember. Going way, way, way back. I've watched it every Halloween. So I'm watching that one again this Halloween. As I said on my last video yesterday, I was on the Beneath the Dirt podcast. You can check that out in the link in the description. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully I can jump on there again. So I hope you guys like, the video, all these reviews I've been doing. Like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you guys on Halloween.